Ambassador Sarah Chen stood before the Galactic Council's massive doors, her heart thundering in her chest. This was humanity's moment, their first official diplomatic meeting with the galactic community. Everything had to be perfect. She adjusted her collar and glanced down at the carrier beside her, where Mr. Whiskers, her therapy cat, dozed peacefully. The elderly Russian Blue had been with her through every major diplomatic crisis on Earth, and she wasn't about to face this historic moment without him. "Ambassador, are you certain about bringing that creature into the chambers?" Her alien attaché, Volox, chittered nervously. The tall, insectoid being's antennae twitched with obvious concern. "Mr. Whiskers is registered as my emotional support animal," Chen explained for what felt like the 100th time. "He's perfectly safe." The massive doors swung open, revealing the breathtaking council chamber. Hundreds of alien representatives sat in rising tiers, their forms varying from crystalline structures to gaseous clouds contained in specialized suits. Chen began her carefully rehearsed approach to the speaking platform. That's when everything went wrong. Mr. Whiskers, usually the most well-behaved of cats, suddenly yowled and burst from his carrier. Perhaps it was the strange smells, the unusual gravity, or simply feline curiosity, but the elderly cat moved with unexpected speed, darting between the legs of various diplomatic representatives. The reaction was immediate and extreme. A collective shriek of terror rippled through the chamber. Several crystalline beings vibrated so intensely they nearly shattered. A group of gaseous delegates condensed in fear, forming actual precipitation. The chamber's emergency containment protocols activated, sealing all exits. "Predator. There's a predator loose in the chambers," someone screamed in the universal translator. Chen watched in horror as her precious cat caused what would surely become an interstellar incident. But as chaos erupted around her, she noticed something odd. Mr. Whiskers wasn't running randomly. He was pursuing something. In the confusion, a shadowy figure had emerged from behind one of the council seats, moving with suspicious purpose toward the central data core. Mr. Whiskers, with the hunting instincts of his species intact despite his advanced age, was in hot pursuit. The figure, realizing it was being chased, panicked and broke into a run. This only excited Mr. Whiskers further, who accelerated with a burst of elderly enthusiasm. The mysterious being, clearly not expecting to be pursued by an Earth predator, stumbled and dropped what appeared to be a data extraction device. Security drones finally activated, converging on both the cat and the now exposed spy. But Mr. Whiskers got there first, planting himself firmly on the spy's chest and beginning to purr loudly. The chamber fell silent, hundreds of alien species watching in fascination as this small predator, instead of attacking, simply sat there vibrating contentedly while preventing the spy's escape. Chen seized the moment. "Members of the council," she announced clearly, "it appears my companion has just exposed a security breach. One that your standard protocols failed to detect, I might add." The council's security forces quickly apprehended the spy, who was revealed to be a member of a known terrorist organization attempting to steal classified diplomatic documents. Mr. Whiskers, his mission accomplished, calmly walked back to Chen and rubbed against her legs. "This," Chen continued, picking up her cat while security led the spy away, "is what we humans call a house cat, a domesticated predator who chooses to be our companion. And I should mention, on our world, this is considered one of our smaller, less dangerous pets." The chamber erupted in murmurs. Chen could see the shift in how they were looking at her, at Mr. Whiskers, at humanity as a whole. What they had initially dismissed as a primitive species had just demonstrated something unprecedented: control over and partnership with a predator species. "If the council is interested," Chen said, settling Mr. Whiskers back into his carrier, "I'd be happy to introduce you to some of our other companions. Though perhaps we should save the discussion about our wolves, lions, and bears for another session." The council's chief administrator, still looking slightly shaken, leaned forward. "Ambassador Chen, Are you saying your species regularly maintains relationships with even larger predators? Indeed. Chen smiled, scratching Mr. Whiskers behind the ears. In fact, some of our most beloved companions are descendants of creatures that once hunted us. We found that trust and affection work better than fear and domination. It's a philosophy that has served us well, both with animals and in diplomacy. The chamber was silent for a long moment before the chief administrator spoke again. Perhaps we should revisit our initial assessment of humanity's potential contribution to the galactic community. Tell us more about these pets of yours. Chen smiled, knowing that humanity had just found its unique place in the galaxy, and it was all thanks to a sleepy Russian blue with perfect timing. Dr. Zixtal adjusted his environmental suit's sensors as he stood in the middle of Central Park, New York. As the lead cynobiologist for the Galactic Science Academy's Emergency Response Division, he had studied dangerous creatures across 17 galaxies, but nothing had prepared him for this. Subject appears to be encouraging the predator to retrieve a thrown object, he recorded, watching the human child toss a ball while a massive Great Dane bounded after it. The predator consistently returns the item instead of claiming it as territory, displaying no aggressive behavior despite its clear physical superiority. His research team spread out across the park, each observing different human-predator interactions. The Academy had sent them to Earth following Ambassador Chen's revelation about humanity's pet-keeping practices. Their mission: determine if humans were dangerously insane or had somehow stumbled upon something revolutionary. Dr. Zixtal, his assistant, V8, called out, "You need to see this. It's unsettling." He followed V8 to a nearby path where a blind human male walked confidently through the crowd, led by a yellow Labrador in a harness. The dog navigated around obstacles, stopped at curbs, and responded to subtle commands. "Impossible," Zixtal muttered, his protective plates clicking in agitation. The predator is deliberately suppressing its hunting instincts to care for a disabled member of another species. This defies every evolutionary principle we know. Their observations continued throughout the day. They witnessed elderly humans walking with protective German shepherds, children reading books to therapy cats in libraries, and a search and rescue demonstration where dogs located hidden humans with incredible accuracy. But it was their visit to Sarah Martinez's Wolf Rehabilitation Center that truly shattered Zixtal's scientific worldview. Martinez, a veteran wolf behaviorist, had invited them to observe her work with rescued wolves. The facility housed wolves that couldn't return to the wild, using them to educate the public and contribute to conservation efforts. "This is Shadow," Martine said, introducing them to a three-legged wolf hybrid. "He was caught in a trap 2 years ago. Now he helps us teach people about wolf conservation and the importance of protecting wild spaces." Zixtal approached the enclosure cautiously, his scientific detachment warring with an unexpected emotional response. Shadow looked at him with intelligent eyes, showing neither fear nor aggression. "Would you like to meet him properly?" Martins asked. Against every instinct, against every protocol, Zixtal found himself saying yes. After proper safety instructions, he entered the enclosure. Shadow approached slowly, his gait slightly uneven due to his missing leg. The wolf sniffed Zixtal's environmental suit curiously. "He can sense your nervousness," Martinez explained. "Try to relax. They're remarkably empathetic animals." Gradually, Zixtal's anxiety eased. Shadow settled nearby, seemingly content with the alien presence. For the first time in his career, Zixtal understood what his readings had been trying to tell him. These weren't just predator-prey relationships. They were partnerships built on mutual trust and understanding. Later that evening, recording his final observations, Zixtal struggled to maintain his professional tone. "The humans have achieved something previously thought impossible," he dictated. "They've created genuine emotional bonds with predator species, transforming what should be adversarial relationships into symbiotic ones. More remarkably, the predators appear to have reciprocated, developing protective and nurturing behaviors toward their human companions. He paused, then added, "Personal note. I find myself affected by these observations, particularly the wolf called Shadow. His adaptation to physical disability through cooperation with humans suggests possibilities we never considered. Perhaps our assumption that predator-prey relationships must be based on dominance and fear is itself flawed." Before leaving Earth, Zixtal made an unprecedented decision. With Martinez's help, he arranged to become Shadow's secondary caretaker, establishing the first-ever alien-Earth predator bond. The Academy was horrified, but Zixtal knew this was too important to ignore. "We've been asking the wrong questions," he wrote in his final report. "Instead of asking how humans domesticated predators, we should ask what humans understood that the rest of us missed. Their success isn't just about technology or technique. It's about their capacity to see past surface differences and recognize the potential for connection with species we dismissed as mere threats." The report caused a sensation in the galactic scientific community. Suddenly, humanity's pet obsession wasn't just a quirky cultural practice. It was evidence of an extraordinary ability to forge connections across species boundaries. An ability that might prove invaluable as the galaxy faced increasingly complex challenges requiring cooperation between diverse species. And on Earth, in a wolf sanctuary, a three-legged wolf waited for his alien friend's next visit, proving that the capacity for unexpected bonds wasn't limited to humans after all. Cut. That's perfect. Director Zilix chittered excitedly, their bioluminescent patches flashing in the Earth sunset. "This is exactly what we need for the documentary." The camera drone circled around 8-year-old Maria Rodriguez as she sat cross-legged on the floor of the local library, reading The Little Prince to a massive black pit bull named Tank. The dog lay with his head in her lap, eyes half closed in contentment as she stumbled over complex words, occasionally helping her sound them out with gentle encouragement from her reading teacher. This wasn't the footage Galactic Entertainment Network had sent Silix to capture. They'd wanted sensational pieces about humanity's reckless behavior with dangerous animals. Instead, Zilix found themselves documenting something far more fascinating. Tank was a fighting dog, Maria's mother explained to the hovering translator drone. When the rescue found him, he was so aggressive they thought he might never be rehabilitated. Now he helps kids build confidence in their reading skills. Something about him makes them feel safe to make mistakes. The documentary team had arrived on Earth expecting to produce a warning about humanity's dangerous habits. Their first episode, titled The Predator Tamers, was meant to showcase humanity's foolishness. But every attempt to find evidence of recklessness led them to stories that changed their perspective. They filmed search and rescue dogs pulling survivors from a collapsed building in Mexico City. They captured footage of therapy cats in cancer wards, somehow knowing which patients needed comfort most. They documented dolphins helping autistic children overcome communication barriers and horses working with PTSD survivors. "We need to completely rewrite the narrative," Zilix announced to their production team after reviewing the footage. "This isn't a story about humanity's dangerous obsession. It's about their extraordinary capacity to transform former predators into partners in healing." The team's biggest breakthrough came when they discovered the story of Officer Sarah Chen, no relation to the ambassador, and her canine partner, Rex. They had been first responders during a devastating earthquake, working tirelessly to locate survivors in unstable buildings. "Rex and I trust each other completely," Officer Chen told them, scratching behind the German Shepherd's ears. "When we're working, he's not my pet. He's my partner. He knows I'll never ask him to do something unsafe, and I know he'll never give up on finding someone who needs help." The documentary aired across the galaxy in 6 languages and 28 different sensory formats. The episode featuring Tank and Maria became the most watched piece of content in galactic history. Viewers were captivated by the contrast between Tank's intimidating appearance and his gentle patience with young readers. But it was the episode's conclusion that truly captured the galaxy's imagination. During filming, a small fire broke out in the library's electrical room. Before the alarm even sounded, Tank calmly but firmly herded his group of young readers toward the nearest exit, staying behind until every child was safe. The footage of a former fighting dog protecting children, acting against what many species considered natural instincts, sparked a revolution in how the galactic community viewed predator-prey relationships. What humans have achieved isn't just domestication, noted Dr. Zixtal in his guest commentary for the final episode. They've created genuine partnerships based on mutual trust and understanding. They've proven that biology isn't destiny, that with patience, empathy, and respect, ancient enemies can become essential allies. The series sparked a cultural phenomenon. Alien children began asking their parents for Earth pets. Research institutions launched studies into interspecies bonding. Conservative species who had long looked down on humanity's primitive emotional attachments found themselves reconsidering their stance. Zilix received the prestigious Galactic Journalism Award for the series. In their acceptance speech, transmitted in visual, auditory, and chemical formats, they shared a simple observation. We went to Earth expecting to document humanity's greatest weakness, their stubborn insistence on befriending dangerous creatures. Instead, we discovered their greatest strength. In a galaxy increasingly divided by species differences, humans have proven that diversity isn't just about tolerance. It's about recognizing that every species, even those we fear, has the potential to enrich our lives in unexpected ways. The series ended with a scene that became iconic across the galaxy. Maria, 1 year after the initial filming, confidently reading a complex novel aloud to a classroom of alien children visiting Earth. Tank lay beside her, alert but relaxed, while alien youngsters of various species cautiously approached to touch his fur. Each time a child showed fear, Tank would gently roll over, making himself less threatening, demonstrating the very trait that made humanity's achievements so remarkable, the ability to choose trust over fear, again and again, until it becomes natural. As one young Centaurian observed in their viewing notes, it's not just that humans tamed predators, it's that they showed the predators, and now us, that there are better things to be than scary. The Proxima Centauri mining station's warning klaxons blared through every deck. Red emergency lights cast ominous shadows as Station Commander Relic Vax stared at the holographic display, showing the radiation leak's progress through the station's maintenance system. The maintenance ducts are too narrow for our repair drones, her chief engineer reported, mandibles clicking in distress. At this rate, the radiation will reach the residential sectors in 3 hours. That's when Diana Chen, the station's sole human engineer, stepped forward. I have an idea, she said, but you're going to have to trust me, and my team. Kavax's upper eyes blinked in confusion. Your team. You're the only human stationed here. Diana smiled and pulled up her personal comlink. Hey Joey, remember those special radiation suits we developed for the ferrets? Time to put them to the test. Within 30 minutes, a small transport arrived from the nearby human colony. Diana emerged from the airlock with a sealed container, followed by a man carrying what looked like tiny environmental suits. Meet the salvation of this station, Diana announced, opening the container to reveal 3 sleek, curious faces. This is Bandit, Pixel, and Scout. They're domestic ferrets, and they're exactly what we need right now. The alien crew stared in disbelief as Diana and Joey quickly suited up the ferrets in custom-made radiation protection gear. The suits were marvels of engineering, protecting the small predators while allowing them full mobility. Ferrets were originally domesticated for hunting in small spaces, Diana explained while attaching a miniature camera to Bandit's suit. They're curious, agile, and most importantly, they can navigate spaces too small for any of our repair drones. Kavax watched skeptically as Diana laid out the plan. The ferrets would enter the maintenance system carrying specialized repair patches. Using their natural tunneling instincts and trained behaviors, they would locate the leaks and apply the patches. You want to trust the station's survival too. Pets. Kovacs's security chief protested. "These aren't just pets," Joey replied, checking Scout's oxygen levels. "They're trained search and repair specialists. We've been developing this program for 2 years. With time running out, Kovacs made her decision. Do it." The next 2 hours were tense as the crew watched the ferrets' progress through their helmet cameras. The animals moved with surprising precision, following their training to identify the distinctive smell of the radiation leaks. Pixel found the first breach, skillfully maneuvering the patch into place. Bandit and Scout located and sealed 2 more leaks in quick succession. Radiation levels dropping, the chief engineer reported, amazement evident in their voice. All 3 leaks have been successfully contained. The station erupted in cheers as Diana retrieved her team, each ferret immediately demanding their favorite treats as reward. Kovacs watched in fascination as these small predators, creatures that would have been considered nothing but pests on most worlds, accepted pets and praise from their human handlers. "I don't understand," Kovacs admitted to Diana later, as they filed their report to Station Command. "How did you know this would work?" Diana smiled, watching Joey play with the ferrets in their temporary quarters. "Humans have a long history of working with animals to solve problems. We learned long ago that every species has unique gifts. The trick isn't trying to force them to work like machines, it's understanding their natural abilities and building on them." The incident became a turning point in galactic engineering practices. The success of the ferret repair program led to a comprehensive review of how different species' natural abilities could be incorporated into space station design and emergency procedures. More importantly, it challenged the prevailing belief that advanced technology was always the best solution. Sometimes, the most sophisticated answer was also the simplest, trusting in partnerships that had been millions of years in the making. As one Proximian engineer noted in their report, "Perhaps what makes humans unique isn't their technology or their intelligence, but their ability to see potential allies in the most unexpected places. While we were building better drones, they were building relationships with species we would have dismissed as primitive or dangerous. In doing so, they didn't just solve problems, they created possibilities we never imagined." The ferrets, of course, remained unaware of their historic role. They were content with their rewards, their warm beds, and the pride of their human companions, proving once again that humanity's greatest strength was not in dominating other species, but in recognizing that every creature, no matter how small or seemingly dangerous, had something valuable to contribute. The emergency alert flashed across Dr. Elena Martinez's screen at 3 a.m. Earth time. URGENT. Class 1 incident at Centaurian Embassy. Attempted domestication event gone wrong. Human expertise required immediately. Elena, head of the newly formed Interstellar Pet Partnership Program, IPP, was sadly unsurprised. This was the 3rd such incident this month. Ever since humanity's success with domesticated predators had become common knowledge, other species had been attempting to replicate their results, with increasingly disastrous consequences. She arrived at the embassy to find chaos. A wealthy Centaurian diplomat, inspired by humanity's partnership with wolves, had attempted to speed domesticate a Jovian razor beast. The creature, a 6-limbed predator known for its hunting prowess, had naturally resisted the diplomat's attempts at forced companionship. "I followed all the physical protocols," the diplomat insisted as medical drones treated their injuries. "I provided food, shelter, and even attempted what humans call belly rubs." Elena sighed, watching as specialized containment teams worked to safely subdue the traumatized creature. "You can't compress 30,000 years of cooperative evolution into a few weeks," she explained. "What humans achieved with dogs, cats, and other species took countless generations of mutual adaptation." The incident sparked an emergency session of the Galactic Council. Elena found herself addressing representatives from hundreds of species, all eager to understand and replicate humanity's success with predator species. "We've discovered something remarkable," she explained, displaying genetic data on the chamber's holoscreens. Humans possess a unique neurological trait. Our brains produce bonding hormones in response to other species at levels unmatched in the galaxy. This isn't just about technique or technology. It's about our fundamental capacity for interspecies empathy. The revelation caused an uproar. Some species saw it as proof that humans were dangerously unstable, their brains malfunctioning in ways that allowed unnatural bonds. Others recognized it as an extraordinary evolutionary advantage. Think about Earth's ecosystem, Elena continued. Our planet has an unusually high diversity of large predator species. We didn't become the dominant species through superior strength or speed. We survived and thrived because we could turn potential threats into allies. In response to the growing crisis, the IPPP established new protocols for interspecies partnerships. Elena and her team began teaching other species about the principles of patient, ethical animal companionship. The key isn't dominance, she explained to a class of alien students. It's mutual respect and understanding. Humans didn't conquer our predator companions. We earned their trust, generation after generation, until cooperation became instinct. The program revealed surprising insights about both humans and animals. Research showed that human brains were uniquely adapted to read emotional cues from other species, a trait that proved invaluable in galactic diplomacy. It's not just about pets, Elena noted in her report to the Council. Our ability to form bonds with other species has given us an extraordinary capacity for empathy and cross-species communication. In a galaxy of diverse life forms, this might be our most valuable trait. The crisis peaked when a group of Arcturnian scientists attempted to genetically modify their own species to replicate human bonding capabilities. The results were catastrophic, leading to a galaxy-wide ban on such experiments. You can't shortcut millions of years of evolution, Elena warned. What humans have with our animal companions isn't just chemistry. It's culture, history, and mutual choice. Each successful partnership is built on trust earned over generations. Gradually, other species began to understand. Instead of trying to replicate human methods exactly, they started exploring their own unique potential for interspecies connections. The Centaurians discovered they had a natural affinity for aquatic creatures. The crystalline Trixians found they could form symbiotic bonds with certain silicon-based life forms. Every species has its own path to connection, Elena wrote in her final report on the crisis. What humans can teach isn't our specific methods, but our willingness to see potential friends where others see only threats. Our success with predator companions isn't just about domestication. It's about recognizing that the universe is full of unexpected possibilities for partnership. The copycat crisis, as it became known, ultimately led to a deeper understanding of humanity's unique place in the galaxy. They weren't just the species that domesticated predators. They were the species that showed the galaxy that trust, patience, and empathy could bridge even the widest evolutionary gaps. And somewhere on Earth, a cat purred on its human's lap, completely unaware that its simple act of companionship had helped reshape galactic society's understanding of what was possible between species. The new Bangkok space elevator's control room was silent except for the soft hum of electronics and the steady breathing of the hostage-takers. The terrorist group, extremists opposed to Earth's integration into the galactic community, had seized control 6 hours ago, taking 2,000 civilians hostage. Your species' predator toys won't help you here. The lead terrorist sneered at Captain Sarah Wong of Earth's Special Response Unit. Our jamming technology has disabled all your drones and combat robots. Stand down, or we start ejecting hostages into the upper atmosphere. Captain Wong smiled slightly. Who said anything about technology? The first sign that something was wrong came when the terrorists' communications went dark. Then their motion sensors began reporting impossible readings, small, fast-moving shapes that appeared and disappeared too quickly to track. "Ma'am," one of the terrorists reported nervously, "something's moving in the ventilation system." "Impossible," the leader snapped. "We sealed all access points." A soft thud drew their attention to the ceiling. A panel had come loose, but nothing emerged. Instead, a single black feather drifted down to land on the leader's console. The Ravens struck first. Dozens of them, each wearing lightweight tactical gear, swooped through the station's maintenance areas. They weren't attacking. They were creating chaos, drawing attention, making the terrorists waste ammunition shooting at shadows. While the Ravens provided distraction, the real operation began. Belgian Malinois in specialized spacesuits moved silently through the lower levels, their enhanced olfactory sensors detecting explosives the terrorists had planted. Working with their human handlers, they systematically disarmed the charges. In the station's aquatic maintenance tubes, a team of dolphins equipped with sonar mapping gear located and disabled underwater sabotage devices. Their natural echolocation, enhanced by human technology, proved more effective than any artificial scanning system. Impossible, the terrorist leader muttered, watching his carefully laid plans unravel. These are just animals. No, Captain Wong corrected him. They're our partners. And they're a lot smarter than you think. The final phase began. As the terrorists tried to maintain control, they failed to notice the small shapes moving through the shadows. Ferrets in stealth suits, carrying specialized electronic disruptors, slipped through gaps smaller than a human fist. One by one, the terrorists' weapons went dark. The leader raised his gun to take a hostage, only to find himself face to face with Rex, a massive German shepherd wearing tactical armor. The dog didn't growl or bark. He didn't need to. His presence alone was enough to make the terrorist leader realize how completely his plan had failed. Within minutes, the situation was under control. Not a single hostage had been harmed. The only casualties were among the terrorists who had chosen to fight rather than surrender. "I don't understand," one of the captured terrorists said later during interrogation. "We planned for every technology, every weapon in Earth's arsenal." "That was your mistake," Captain Wong explained. "You planned for weapons. What you faced weren't weapons. They were team members, partners who chose to work with us because of trust and loyalty, not programming or control." The incident became a turning point in galactic security doctrine. Other species had dismissed Earth's animal partnerships as primitive compared to their advanced technology. Now they saw the advantages. Companions who couldn't be hacked or jammed, who could think independently, who had natural abilities no artificial system could match. More importantly, they understood why humans had succeeded where others failed. Every animal in the operation had participated voluntarily, trusted their human partners completely, and showed remarkable problem-solving abilities. The true power of humanity's relationship with predator species isn't in dominance, Captain Wong wrote in her report. It's in partnership. Our animal teammates aren't following commands blindly. They're cooperating because they choose to, because we've built relationships based on mutual trust and respect. The Galactic Security Council revised its protocols, incorporating lessons learned from the space elevator incident. They finally understood that humanity's primitive practice of working with animals wasn't a weakness. It was an extraordinary form of strength that no technology could replicate. And in the aftermath, as Captain Wong watched Rex playing with rescued children in the station's recreation area, she was reminded again of why these partnerships worked. Despite all his training, despite his crucial role in the operation, Rex was still fundamentally a dog, loyal, loving, and happy to simply be with his human friends. That perhaps was humanity's greatest achievement, not just turning predators into partners, but maintaining their essential nature while building bonds of trust that transcended species boundaries. Dr. Maya Patel stood before the crystalline beings of Sigma Hydra VI, trying not to show her nervousness. The crystallids, as humans had dubbed them, had rejected all previous attempts at communication. Their silicon-based biology was so alien that even the galaxy's most sophisticated translation systems failed to bridge the gap. But Maya had a different approach, and an unusual assistant. "This is Luna," she said, gesturing to the white wolf hybrid beside her. The wolf's calm presence had already drawn curious vibrations from the crystalline beings. She's going to help us understand each other. The breakthrough had come from an unexpected source. While studying human-animal bonds, Maya's team had discovered something extraordinary about human neurology. Their brains had evolved to interpret emotional signals not just from other humans, but from a vast array of species. It's not just about reading body language, Maya explained to the Galactic Science Council. Humans develop the ability to form emotional connections beyond their immediate social groups. This adaptation, likely due to Earth's unusually diverse ecosystem, allowed us to see potential for communication where others saw only alien behavior. Luna sat calmly as the crystallids approached, their faceted bodies refracting light in complex patterns. Most species would have fled from these utterly alien beings, but Luna, like her human partner, had been trained to look past surface differences. The wolf's behavior caught the crystallids' attention. They had never encountered a predator species that showed neither fear nor aggression. Through Luna, they began to understand something about humans. Their ability to form partnerships with former predators wasn't just about domestication. It was about recognition of sentience in other forms of life. Watch how Luna responds to their light patterns, Maya instructed her team. The wolf's ears twitched slightly, her head tilting at different angles. She was reading their emotional states through their light emissions, just as she read human emotions through facial expressions and body language. The crystallids, in turn, began to study Luna. They observed how she communicated with Maya through subtle gestures and vocalizations, how she chose to stay near her human partner not out of obligation, but trust. It was a revelation to beings who had always viewed organic life as chaotic and incomprehensible. We've been approaching interspecies communication all wrong, Maya realized. We've been trying to force everything into human paradigms of language and logic. But what if the key isn't in words or mathematics, but in something more fundamental, the ability to recognize and respect other forms of consciousness? The breakthrough came during the third week of interactions. A young crystallid approached Luna, emitting patterns that Maya's instruments identified as similar to curiosity. Luna responded with the same gentle patience she showed to human children, allowing the crystalline being to examine her while maintaining a calm, non-threatening presence. That simple interaction became the foundation of a new understanding. The crystallids began to comprehend that human relationships with animals weren't based on control or dominance, but on mutual trust and respect. It was a concept that transcended biological differences. Humans didn't succeed with animal partnerships because we're smarter or more technologically advanced, Maya explained in her report. We succeeded because we evolved to be open to connections with beings different from ourselves. Our predator companions taught us that communication doesn't always need words, that trust can bridge even the widest evolutionary gaps. The implications were staggering. Maya's research showed that human brains produced unique patterns of neural activity when forming bonds with other species, patterns that could be adapted to facilitate communication with even the most alien forms of life. Other species had dismissed humanity's animal partnerships as primitive. Now they understood that these relationships represented something extraordinary, the ability to form meaningful connections across vast biological and evolutionary distances. Every successful animal partnership humans have formed, Maya wrote, from the first wolf who chose to share a human's fire to the highly trained service animals of today, represents a triumph of empathy over fear, of connection over difference. In learning to communicate with predators, we prepared ourselves for the ultimate challenge of communicating with truly alien minds. The crystallids became Earth's strongest allies in the galactic community, their partnership forged not through traditional diplomacy, but through the simple, profound lesson taught by a wolf and her human companion. That trust, patience, and openness to different forms of consciousness could bridge even the most fundamental differences between species. And Luna, unaware of her historic role, continued her work with Maya, helping to teach both humans and aliens that sometimes the deepest understanding comes not from words or technology, but from the willingness to look past fear and see the potential for connection in every form of life. The massive viewing chamber of the Galactic hub fell silent as the holographic display activated, showing a vast, dark shape moving at the edge of known space. The entity, designated the Void, defied conventional classification. It consumed energy and matter indiscriminately, and all attempts at communication had failed. Admiral Sarah Chen, granddaughter of the ambassador who had first introduced the galaxy to Mr. Whiskers, stood before the assembled representatives of 5,000 species. Beside her sat an elderly German shepherd named Max, gray around the muzzle but alert. "Traditional defenses have failed," she stated simply. "The Void absorbs our weapons, ignores our signals, and continues its advance. But we've discovered something interesting. It reacts to biological patterns, specifically to the neural patterns created by interspecies bonds." The discovery had come accidentally. A research station studying the Void had been accompanied by therapy animals for its crew. When the entity approached, it had hesitated, seemingly confused by the complex emotional fields generated by the humans and their animal companions. "For centuries, we've been building something unique in the galaxy," Chen continued. "Not just partnerships with former predators, but a whole network of interspecies cooperation. Every successful bond between different species creates distinct patterns in the quantum field, patterns that the Void cannot simply absorb or ignore." The plan was unprecedented. Thousands of human-animal teams would be positioned at strategic points around threatened systems. Their combined emotional resonance, amplified by technology developed by the crystallids, would create a barrier the Void couldn't penetrate. "You want to defend the galaxy with pets?" a Centaurian representative asked incredulously. "No," Chen corrected. "We want to defend it with trust, with the power of bonds that transcend species barriers, the very thing that makes us human." Max wagged his tail slowly, sensing his partner's determination. Around the chamber, other therapy animals, cats, dogs, parrots, and more exotic Earth species, maintained calm presences among the increasingly agitated alien representatives. The first test came at the Proxima Centauri colony. As the Void approached, hundreds of human-animal teams took their positions. The entity's advance slowed, then stopped. For the first time, it showed signs of confusion, perhaps even consciousness. Dr. Maya Patil, now elderly herself but still working with Luna's descendants, made the next breakthrough. "It's not just confused by our bonds," she reported. "It's trying to understand them. The Void isn't a weapon or a natural disaster. It's a being that has never encountered the concept of interspecies cooperation." The discovery changed everything. What had been seen as an unstoppable threat was revealed to be an entity as alien as the crystallids had once been, but one that could be reached through the same principles that had allowed humanity to form its first partnerships with predator species. "We don't need to fight the Void," Chen announced to the council. "We need to teach it, show it that there are alternatives to consumption, that different species can work together instead of preying on each other." The process took years. The Void learned slowly, but it learned. Through the combined efforts of human-animal teams, crystallid light singers, and countless other species who had learned the value of interspecies cooperation, the entity began to change. It didn't stop consuming energy, but it learned to do so selectively, even sustainably. "This is humanity's true gift to the galaxy," Chen wrote in her final report. "Not our technology, not our military might, but our fundamental understanding that differences between species need not be barriers. That trust, patience, and respect can bridge even the most profound evolutionary gaps." The galaxy transformed. Space stations incorporated wildlife preserves. Therapy animals helped species recover from interstellar trauma. Even the most logic-driven races learned the value of emotional bonds with other creatures. And on Earth, in parks and homes and spaceships, humans continued to share their lives with the descendants of ancient predators. Each purring cat, each loyal dog, each clever parrot was a reminder of an essential truth. that sometimes the greatest strength comes not from dominating other species, but from earning their trust and friendship. Max, gray and dignified, rested his head on Chen's lap as they watched the void's patterns shift into something new, something that reflected the complexity and beauty of interspecies cooperation. He didn't understand the galactic implications of what he represented. He simply knew that he was where he belonged, beside his human partner, facing whatever challenges the universe presented. And perhaps that was the most important lesson of all. That love, trust, and loyalty transcend not just species barriers, but the very boundaries of space and time themselves.